horrendous. I've pleasantly surprised myself there. Hello troops, welcome back to the channel. It's Dan from Hades Airsoft. Today we are doing another RIF review. This time bringing you, I'm excited to say, the Noveske N4 from Double Eagle. This is a gas blowback RIF, okay, and it is at the heart of a pretty fierce debate amongst the Airsoft and milsim community right now. Noveske or MWS, which you can see behind me. MWS from Tokyo Marui. Now, why are those two being compared despite a price point difference over here in the Canary Islands of about 180 to 200 euros, depending on the model of MWS that you go for? Why are those two RIFs being compared if there's such a difference in price? They're being compared because on the inside, the Noveske is pretty much a carbon copy of the MWS, meaning that magazines supposedly are compatible. We're going to try that out later on the range. Other aftermarket parts like bolts and nozzles and all that sort of jazz that goes on the inside of these RIFs is all compatible. So let's get amongst the unboxing, troops, okay? Quick point on safety, because with GBBR it's very different to AEG. Okay, now I know that this RIF is safe because I've prepared for the video. I also know the one behind me is safe. Obviously, we need to be wearing eye protection if we're in an unsafe environment. For me, that's BLOC Tactical. Go and head over to their website, check it out. Zero fog EyePro, fantastic safety, and it's the only brand of EyePro that I use. So check those out and use the code HAD10 for 10% off at your checkout. Things I like and things I dislike. The biggest thing that I dislike is this silver barrel. Now, for me, you know, they had black paint in the factory. They could have painted that black. For me, it just makes the RIF look cheap. And obviously, it is cheaper than the MWS, but I mean cheap as in like tacky. Looking into the handguard, we do have a kind of imitation gas rod, which just adds a little bit to the realism, which, okay, all right, we all know I like realism, so that's you're winning there slightly. The handguard itself, I mean, for me and these Shrek hands, it is a little bit on the thin side. I mean, yeah, okay, I can close my entire, grip around it, which for me, I think it's too thin. Okay. And I think the overall length of the RIF is a little bit on the shorter side. The iron sights, which are plastic, which, you know, most modern iron sights now are plastic, but as you can see here, troops, I don't think that's going to hold up to the recoil, if I'm being honest. Yeah, unsure about that. Not a fan. I would bin those off immediately. I do like this upper and lower, the way that it's been CNC'd, and it's got, you know, it's a little bit futuristic, it's a little bit jazzy, but I do like it. I also like this extended trigger guard here. So that means when you've got gloves on, you've got a little bit more room inside the trigger guard there. I do also like the grip. I had to change the grip on my MWS pretty much straight away because it was actually giving me a blister. You know, the first day that I used it, I didn't wear gloves, but I also don't want my RIF giving me a blister if I don't take the appropriate PPE steps. But anyway, I do like the charging handle. It's ambidextrous for a start, which is good. It's that kind of bronze color, which I'm a bit of a fan of. What does that say? Super badass charging handle. Roger. Okay. Super badass charging handle. Yeah. Not sure about that. That dust cover just feels a little bit on the cheap side. Now, there is a little bit of a rattle there on the stock. I'm not a real big fan of the stock. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with it. It's just kind of not my style. It's a very personal set of criticisms that I have for it. These internals are going to be very similar to Tokyo Marui, but I don't yet know how similar. Very similar. Yeah, that trigger box is pretty much the same. Ooh. I don't like that. Okay, let's take a quick look at the bolt. Just place that to one side. Similar sort of, well, similar, no, it's identical. That is identical to a bolt that is in the Tokyo Marui there. But you're going to take a quick look at the magazine now. Okay, so you get one magazine with it. It's obviously a PMag, a polymer mag aesthetic design compared to the standard Marui magazine. Okay, a little bit on the lighter side. And I think the key difference is to fill it up with gas, you do it here as opposed to here on a Marui magazine. Now, the benefit I think there is the fact that once that magazine is introduced into the magazine well and it's feeding and you're playing your game, all of that is hidden. So there's no dirt or grit getting in there. Whereas for myself, I always end up having to clean that out after a game. Right, troops, that's time for the shooting range now. Really keen to get some rounds down range with the Noveske and see if some of those considerations that I had on the unboxing have any merit actually in a range scenario, and then obviously later on in a gaming scenario. Here we are. This is a site we use, okay, for games, kind of skirmish games. It's called Vacaria. Fantastic kind of CQB and a little bit of open area around the outside. No health and safety, no nothing. It's pretty crazy, but a good site. So for this test then, troops, we're going to use Swiss Arms green gas. Very little gas escaping. Real plus point. The fact that that comes out of the box already sealed to a pretty decent extent, I like that. Right, troops, so this is our 20 meter point, okay? So this is going to be our first 5 rounds down range, 20 meters. Let's see how we get on. I'm quite happy with that, although it's quite dispersed. We've got one here centre mass, one here in kind of like the crotchal region, and then we've got a nice little 3-round grouping. Those are really close together there. Recoil-wise, it's pretty good. You know, it's not too much. There's certainly things there I'm enjoying. I know I dropped one on that for sure. Right, troops, let's close in and check out the shoot. 1, 2, 3. Where's that 4th one? There we are. Thank you, Carlos. Yeah, so we're going to try now 40 meters and see how we get on.
Okay. Stand by. Go. Up.
Headshot. 2, 3. Yeah, I think I dropped 2. 3 out of 5. It's not great. At 40 meters, we're probably reaching what I'd call the edge of its effective range. For me, if I practiced with it, if I trained with it, you know, I'm going to bring that down. Right, troops, 50 meters, a little bit of wind this time. I've got zero confidence that I'm going to hit that target. And that, to me, says something. 20 meters, good. 30 meters, fine. 40 meters, I'm now here at the 50 meter point. I'm not confident in it. Depends what you want out of a game, a hobby, a riff. Everybody wants different things. I don't want to be the best of the best of the best. I just want to have a good day, invest in some quality kit that makes me feel good, makes me, you know, I have a good time playing Airsoft. Right now at 50 meters, I'm not confident in the Noveske.
Stand by. Go. Up.
I know I dropped 2, maybe even 3. But then I'm pretty sure once I got my eye in, I wasn't too terrible. 2. 3. I knew there was a 3rd one lurking there. So, troops, pretty much at the edge of the target here. One's even outside of what is legitimately the target. So we've got 1, 2, 3. All falling low at this point. We are going to have that. That's obvious. You know, at the edge of that range, that BB is going to start to drop. I'm not overly concerned about that. So for all that about I don't feel confident in it, which I didn't, I now feel pleasantly surprised. So it's a bit of a, I wouldn't call it a roller coaster, but there is a little bit of that up and down with this riff. You know, 1 minute I think, hey, I'm really enjoying it. Next minute I think, not that confident in it. Although the fact I've pleasantly surprised myself there, the fact that I didn't feel confident in it earlier on is important. Right, troops, final little test. Do the Tokyo Marui standard magazines fit in the Noveske? There is a bit of movement in there. I'd say that's compatible. Super important. Massive thumbs up in favour there of the Noveske. So it's certainly gained a couple of points there for myself. Right, troops, one final little test then before we head off to Hangar 37. I'm going to try the Noveske magazine in my Tokyo Marui MWS. That does not fit. That was a pretty quick test. If you're an MWS owner, do not buy Noveske magazines. They do not fit. Right, troops, we are now down at Hangar 37, fantastic CQB site here in Gran Canaria. We've done everything we can do now with the Noveske except put it through its paces in a game. So let's get amongst it and see how we get on. ¿Qué tal?
Bien, ¿y tú?
¿Bien? Oh. No estoy convencido. ¿Tú crees? Oh. Venga, vamos. Vamos. Get in the trench. Let's go. Get in the trench. Vale. Observamos. Right, troops, first couple of rounds with the Noveske. I'm not convinced. I'm certainly not convinced about the Noveske magazine. I think the gas efficiency with their own magazine is quite poor. It does run a lot better with a Marui magazine. That is, without a shadow of a doubt, a better choice for magazine. Not totally convinced at this point, but hey, we've got the whole day. We're going to get amongst it, keep getting after it, and hopefully my opinion changes by the end of the video. Tres, dos, uno. If you're Canadian, join the British Army. Canadian Army are good, but the British Army's better. José, avanza, avanza. Vale, cúbreme. No veo. Bang, 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 bang. Right, troops, just finished up the day here at Hangar 37 with the Neski N4. Quite a mixed bag, if I'm being honest with you. I think the gas efficiency is certainly something that they need to work on. Good points. I mean, it is ergonomic, and I do feel like, you know, I moved around the battle space quite comfortably. You know, it didn't feel very different to what I'm used to running, which is a good thing. We don't want a massive learning curve every time we get a new riff. But for myself, I do find it's a little bit too inconsistent. The flight of the BB was very inconsistent at times. When it went well, it went really well. And when it didn't go as well, it was very noticeable. Now that can be affected by a whole bunch of climate conditions. Today in Gran Canaria, in the morning when we started, it was very warm, and today the temperature has dropped here in the afternoon quite dramatically. Does that affect the way your gas runs? Of course it does, because obviously the whole gas system is quite sensitive. Gas that you run in the morning might not be the same gas you need to be running in the afternoon if there's been a very sharp rise or fall in temperature. Little things like that. I'm by no means an expert on gas. I'm still getting to know my MWS system, but I think from being an MWS player, this just isn't for me. I think it would be unfair to directly compare the Noveske to the MWS. Obviously, that's the whole debate, isn't it, that's going on right now, and that's kind of what motivated me to do this video. But as I've gone through the week, as I've spent more time in the Noveske, A, because of the price point, and B, because of, well, just the price point, really, if I'm being honest with you. They're just not in the same league. The internals are very, very similar. We know that. But there are some pretty significant cost savings made throughout the Rift to achieve that price point. It's not, in my opinion, it's not as good as an MWS. Is it close? Yes. Is it close enough to warrant, that price point? Probably, yeah. You're probably getting quite a lot of GBBR for your money if you can stretch to buying a Noveske. I personally would suggest perhaps hanging on a little bit longer and saving up and getting that MWS. This has been a fairly short review. I've had it for a week. If I had longer with it, I'm pretty sure that I would get along with some of those inconsistencies, find ways to mitigate them, etc. However, having played it today all day, I'm pretty confident that I've got a good enough opinion of it, that it's not for me, but I'm sure it's going to be for quite a lot of you out there. But for now, troops, we're going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you next time on the channel.